Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today we're going to be viewing Season 2 of a show that really surprised us, something we didn't expect to be as good as it was, and that's You.
Yes, I remember someone across the first season on Netflix when it first aired, and I was intrigued because Penn Badgley, Gossip Girl, I was really interested to see what he was doing next, and this show is just absolutely crazy.
So first and foremost, this review is going to have a lot of spoilers because to talk about this show, I need to go through a lot of the plot points because that's one of the things that I have some really pros with and some really big cons with. So I want to just put that out right now. There's going to be a ton of spoilers in this review. Go check out Season 2 if you haven't seen it already. Definitely recommend it. Alright, so in Season 2, we are following Joe as he is leaving New York trying to escape Candace, who came back from the dead, surprisingly. We have him go to Los Angeles where he thinks he can really blend in. It's a place that no one would ever look for him, being this fake society, and he feels he is a righteous, real man who knows better than everyone else.
And absolutely hates LA.
So we're following his journey and him kind of falling back into the same things he did in Season 1.
Yeah, this time Joe's trying to start new, start fresh. He wants to become like this hero. He wants to make sure he's not that villain character anymore.
Yeah, and that is probably the best thing about the show. Penn Badgley's performance as Joe Goldberg is just top notch. Someone who is so deluded that you almost root for them at times.
Yeah.
He's so convinced in his own mind that he is the good guy. He is the hero of the story. And his narration, that when you hear it on its face makes sense until things start to go off the rails, is the best part of the show.
Also, just like his subtle facial expressions, each time he interacts with someone different, you can just tell what Joe is thinking. And then as he narrates the show, you get more into his mind on what he's really thinking. And I think that's the most intriguing part.
Yeah, his shift as someone who is a very likable, charismatic guy to a true monster is so subtle but so well done. He stays pretty much within these same ranges. You don't get these wild rages or these really manic, happy moments. Having that inner, just that ability to shift ever so slightly in character is just really well done.
And as you think Joe is going, starting new and fresh, we meet Love Quinn actually, and it starts a whole new fascination for Joe, and, well, goes a different direction.
See, this is one of my slight issues with Season 2. It kind of does some very similar things to Season 1. We're repeating Joe falling in love, doing things that he thinks are well done, things unraveling, him starting to actually destroy other people's lives, his own life. So the plot writing in this season in particular, I don't think is as tight as the first season because it tries to be a little more complex. It does that first initial idea of Joe trying to get a woman and then layering on top of that. And some of those layers for me were a little messy.
Yes, and this is why instead of focusing on one storyline, there's multiple storylines. And sometimes when it feels like it's jumping a little bit, where the first season was this all focused on Beck and Joe and him trying to get back and then, kind of destroying her inner circle. Well, this one, you focus on other characters also kind of destroy their own inner circles.
Yeah, there's so many individual storylines that are happening in the show, and some of them, as their own little stories, are interesting. Like, I thought the moments dealing with him and Chris D'Elia is also in this show, and him having killed this guy who's actually a bad guy, and you're getting that same kind of idea of who Joe is, kind of like a Dexter type character. He's the righteous bad guy, but then, obviously things unravel. But I thought all these individual storylines work, but when they try to mash them all together to be like, oh, it all makes sense now because they all intertwine these stories, it's so convenient at times that I don't love that. I'd rather you keep it a little more simple.
So one standout character for me in this series was 40 Quinn, that's Love's brother, played by James Scully, and his character was a love and hate relationship with me.
Yeah.
There was moments I thought he was really funny, I was kind of rooting for him, and then he would just tear everything apart.
And I think that he was actually, other than Joe, my favorite character this season. In the beginning, I'm like, okay, he's a caricature. He's this, over-the-top LA character. And seeing him deal with his inner demons was something that I think the show really needed. You don't have people that are struggling on the level of someone like 40. And he has such complexity to his character that I'm kind of disappointed with what happens at the end of the season with him.
Yeah.
But I thought his storyline and them kind of, that he was like the glue that almost kept everything together on the show. And I thought that it was a really great performance by him.
And like I said in the beginning, we're introduced to Love Quinn, and I thought, she was interesting, but I like Beck a little more than in the first season.
Yeah, and that has to do with what I was talking about with the layering thing. We have to make the season a little different, obviously, and the show writers chose to do that as Joe basically meeting his match in craziness, essentially. And the problem I had is right off the bat, I knew that they were going to have to do something like that. So I knew right away within the first episode that something was going on with Love, and she obviously, was a little bit off, and she ended up being totally crazy like Joe. And I don't know. I like that showing the mirror up to his own face. He's kind of seeing his own actions.
That scene was really good at the very end.
Those were the best parts with her. But everything else with her, I was totally unconvinced that she was normal.
Yeah, she gave off, just weird vibes throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
And then you also get glimpses of her past relationship with her deceased husband. And you get this idea that he was sick and that I guess he passed away, but they don't dive into that. So you're assuming that maybe she killed him. So there's a lot of little plot holes that are missing.
And one thing that this show has been criticized in the past about is not getting the female perspective. There's only one part in season 1 where you kind of see where Beck is seeing everything from. And I actually honestly think the scenes where we saw at the end, where you see Love's point of view and what she's trying to do to manipulate, I would almost want to see a back and forth. I would want to see something from someone's perspective of Joe, because we know who Joe is. And he's that omniscient narrator.
You might see that in season 3, though.
That's what I mean. I would like if they did that, and they didn't do it any more in this season than they did in season 1, even though that was a major criticism. And I feel like we could have used a whole episode just from Love's perspective, or 40's perspective, like someone else.
I agree, because Love's character, I feel like there's just, we're missing some blanks in her, story arc.
Yeah, and I know they're probably going to explore that in the 3rd season, because I'm almost guaranteed it's going to get picked up for a 3rd season if it hasn't already. But I would have liked to see that more. But at the end of the day, they're back and forth, and just Penn Badgley as Joe is just entertaining. Any episode that he's in, any time he's having these inner monologues, it's like American Psycho. It's great.
Yes, I absolutely... I hate to say, love his character, and I never knew Penn Badgley would have this, in him, because I was so used to seeing him on Gossip Girl as Dan Humphrey, and I don't know, his character's really interesting. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I thought that it was a very good season. I don't know if it's quite as good as season 1, in my opinion, but I liked some of the risks they take. I loved some of the actors and some of the performances in this season, some of the guest stars.
I definitely think season 1 was better than the second season. I rewatched season 1 after I watched season 2 because I just wanted to catch up a little bit. I definitely like the filming styling of the first season compared to the second season. And I like the simpler storyline of the first season.
Yeah.
I did like, 40 and, Quinn being in the second season, another interesting character. But I thought there were just too many storylines going on.
So those are our thoughts of season 2 of You. Let us know what you thought about it. Did you like it as much as the first season? What was your favorite storyline or character in this season? So thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you next time.